Throughout the course of history, mankind has been witness to countless unexplained phenomena. One of these bizarre happenings has puzzled scientists and the curious alike for hundreds of years. Today, on Mystery Archives, we will be discussing the burning mystery of spontaneous human combustion. July 2nd, 1951, in St. Petersburg, Florida. The clocks turned 8 p.m. by the time Mrs. Pansy Carpenter, the owner of an apartment building, approached the residence of one of her tenants. She planned to deliver a telegram for Mrs. Mary Reeser, a 67-year-old widow. The last time she had seen the woman, she was wearing a nightgown in her recliner while smoking a cigarette. Upon reaching the door, she touched the doorknob, and she found that it was scalding hot. This worried her enough that she called the police, and as they opened the door, a blast of hot air greeted them. Faint smoke filled the room, and yet the apartment stood untouched. As they moved into the kitchen, however, something horrid confronted them. A blackened circle, approximately 4 feet across, covered the floor, and inside the circle, police found armchair springs, a small mound of ashes, a shrunken skull, fragments of spine, a charred liver, and an unburned left foot in a slipper. Oily soot covered the ceiling and parts of the walls. Some of the candles and plastic wall outlets had melted, and a mirror had cracked. In spite of these things, however, the rest of the apartment showed no signs of a fire. Fire Chief S.O. Griffith and Coroner Edward T. Silk could not even begin to comprehend this bizarre death. Neither could the FBI and arson experts who investigated afterwards. Eventually, Dr. Wilton M. Krogman, a leading expert on deaths by fire, was called in to help solve the enigma. Krogman stated that the fire was not caused by electricity or arson. He also dismissed the source of ignition as being Reeser's cigarette. He did, however, state unequivocally that whatever had emulated Mrs. Reeser must have reached a temperature of over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, for it's only at this high of a temperature that human bone will disintegrate. This only further complicated matters, as even a crematorium does not reach these temperatures, and even still requires a massive amount of fuel to maintain the heat needed to burn bodies. Krogman failed to solve the mystery, which still lingers to this day. December 22nd, 2010, Ballybane, Ireland. Mr. Mannion awakened to the sound of his smoke alarm. He went outside to find thick smoke coming from the house of his 76-year-old neighbor, Michael Fayhardy. After getting no answer from Fayhardy, he called the police. And after a search of the house, Fayhardy's body was found lying on his back, with his head towards the open fireplace. His entire body burned to a crisp. The fire had been confined to the room, and the only other damage they found was on the ceiling above and the floor underneath him. No trace of arson was found, and after an investigation, the fire brigade was convinced that the fireplace was not the source of the blaze which killed Fayhardy. The coroner, Dr. Kyron McLaughlin, stated, "This fire was thoroughly investigated, and I'm left with the conclusion that it fits into the category of spontaneous human combustion, for which there is no adequate explanation." These are just two of the hundreds of accounts of the phenomena known as spontaneous human combustion. Instances of people bursting into flame date back as far as the 14th century, and are as much of a mystery today as they were hundreds of years ago, and just as haunting. 17th century Danish anatomist Thomas Bartholin described an instance of a Parisian woman found burned to ashes except for her head and fingertips. The next century, Nicole Millet, another French woman, was found consumed by the flame in her undamaged chair. Cases have followed mankind well into the 21st century, with one occurring as recent as 2017. The burning question behind these is simple. What is causing people to combust? Spirits, demons, witchcraft, and black magic have been associated with this happening since the Middle Ages. The supernatural could certainly be a possibility. However, some skeptics don't believe in supernatural explanations and instead postulate rational possibilities. The 19th century blamed it on alcoholism, saturating the body with alcohol. Other more modern theories, such as the one favored by Ivan T. Sanderson, suggest that metabolic changes in the body produce phosphagens, something which would provide a source of chemical energy. This energy would then build up in people with sedentary lifestyles or negative emotions and make their bodies subject to ignition. Livingston Gerhardt put forth a different hypothesis in 1975 when he linked cases of spontaneous human combustion with peaks in Earth's magnetic field, which could produce short electromagnetic waves, like a microwave oven. Another theory is the Wick effect. The Wick effect suggests that spontaneous human combustion victims have fallen unconscious or died from natural causes, catch fire from an obvious heat source. As the body burns, the clothing is saturated with melting body fat, turning the victim into a human candle. This theory could indeed explain the case of Mrs. Reeser, who was known to be obese, smoked cigarettes, and took sleeping pills. There are other cases which feature similar victims with similar habits, so it is possible. However, it does not answer the instances where there have been no close sources of heat. We may never know the answers to what causes seemingly ordinary, everyday people to combust, but the bizarre phenomenon still rouses speculation to this day, and will likely do so for years to come. It's important to note that Dr. Krogman stated in a 1961 article the following: "I find it hard to believe that a human body, once ignited, will literally consume itself, burn itself out, as does a candle wick, guttering in the last residual pool of melted wax. Just what did happen on the night of July the 1st, 1951 in St. Petersburg, Florida, we may never know. Though this case still haunts me, the head is not left complete in ordinary burning cases. Certainly it does not shrivel or symmetrically reduce to a smaller size. In the presence of heat sufficient to destroy soft tissues, the skull would literally explode in many pieces. I have never known any exception to this rule. I cannot conceive of such a complete cremation without more burning of the apartment itself. In fact, the apartment and everything in it should have been consumed. I regard it as the most amazing thing I've ever seen. As I review it, the short hairs on my neck bristle with vague fear. Were I living in the Middle Ages, I'd mutter something about black magic. So what do you think? Is there a perfectly logical explanation to these events? Or something more supernatural? Let us know down in the comments below. Give us a like and subscribe for more content every week. Don't forget to click the bell so you never miss a new upload. And share this video on social media. We regularly struggle to break through YouTube's algorithm, and sharing is imperative to help get us out there. We also ask that you please subscribe to our Patreon. We love making these videos for you guys, and would love to put out bigger and better content, but need your support to do so. Patrons get access to awesome perks and behind-the-scenes content, and any little bit helps, so please don't hesitate to donate. As always, this has been Cody here with Mystery Archives. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day.